we got a guest this week. I'll let Mark introduce himself here in a little bit, but last week Davenport had their ASA qualifier, and they beat their attendance record on Saturday from what they had last year. And
that's cool.
It doesn't, and then plus Sunday shooters, they had a really good turn. They changed the course completely from what it was last year. It was a good course. I like how they did it, and we had a lot of uphill shots, which is the footing was a challenge for me. I mean, we're sitting a lot of steep angles, footing, off Kindred, but it's all, it was good course. Lepic had his scramble too.
Did you go out there or no?
I did not go. I had a graduation on Saturday,
so
I went to Davenport's on Sunday. And this coming week, the only shoots I know of is Flint River's ASA qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked through and there isn't much else going on. So for that, but they're going to run so on Saturday at Davenport, they had their S3DA shoot too. They've been kind of adding them together. So anyone listening, Flint River is going to have, actually it's a Flint River S3DA club. So they're going to have their S3DA on Saturday too. So any of the young shooters listening, go down there and see what that's about. And that way, you get a better idea of what that organization can do. It's a really, after I sat through that training, I don't know if Mark knew, but they don't host any shoots from September to the end of November so they can hunt. They shut it down.
That's pretty cool.
He means the whole organization of S3D.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
It's amazing. And you'll sit through it, and Zach bought bags. They mix like oatmeal and red dye up. They'd shoot, and then he'd go drag them. So like a blood trail, or it was pretty cool how there's different ideas you can do. You can integrate all that, but it's three disciplines. They follow NFAA, USA Archery, and ASA. So you get 3D, outdoor target, and indoor. And everybody shoots all three disciplines. I mean, I don't know any organization getting kids involved that does that. That's a great deal. So, but that's what's going on. We'll let Mark introduce himself, and we're going to go from there.
Perfect. Well, I'm Mark Wagner. I've been in the sport of archery virtually my whole entire life. From the time I came home from the hospital, first place we went to was the archery store that my dad and mom ran. So he bought it in 84, and we've still been around to today. He did pass away here a few years ago, and I've kind of been running the shop since then. But I've worked here full time for over 18 years, so it's kind of just been a passion. I've done it, like I say, my whole entire life.
Yeah, so you've probably seen things change from
a ton,
equipment change, and
a ton. It's crazy. Back in the day, we played with all kinds of stuff where there was stacking the fletching up and down, which has kind of come back in a little bit. And
what do you mean?
So like you used to take shorter fletchings and you would go a half inch down, and then the next one you'd go a half inch down, and the next one you'd go a half inch down. So it actually staggered, but it would control the arrow. The shaft? Yeah. So to control the arrow like what a long vein did, but you could get that out of a short, low profile.
Did that actually work better?
No, it still worked pretty well. And I mean, you still see guys, it comes back and forth, in and out all the time, but we'll see guys walk in the shop that have that on their arrows every once in a while.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen anybody come in yet, but I've seen that before. But so I know you said you went to the archery shop after you were born. Obviously, you probably don't remember, but which archery shop was it?
So it had been on East University.
Okay, so it was still around.
Yep, we were there until I was about my senior year of high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it was there for a long time. And from there, then we went to Pleasant Hill when McDonald's bought the property, and we got told we have 30 days to get out of the building. And so my dad stressed a bunch, but he ended up finding a place down Pleasant Hill until he could find a piece of ground to buy and build this building.
No, so, ended up being pretty close by Pleasant Hill.
Mm-hmm. Which is really not too far from where I grew up. I mean, from where I grew up, my house to here is probably 5 or 6 miles from where I grew up.
Okay. I didn't know that either. Mm-hmm. Actually, I don't think. But
so you're shooting. A lot of people don't know you're a target shooter and hunt. What'd you start out with? The hunting side or the target?
Definitely started out with the hunting side. I would go around, when I went hunting my first time, actually, when I harvested my first animal, I was 8 years old, shooting a bow. And, it took a lot of practice and a lot of discipline before my dad would let me out, and he would limit my distance. I was only shooting 28 pounds, but here in the state of Iowa, there's no requirement for poundage. So you can be shooting whatever poundage you want as long as it's over an 18-inch arrow. But still, if you're going to take a kid out, you want to make sure that they're going to be proficient, and you want to limit that distance. So 10 to 15 yards is all the farther my dad would let me shoot. But there's a lot of stories as a little kid, walking out there. My dad would let me try to sneak up on deer with a little kid's recurve bow when I was really little. There was no way I was ever going to be able to shoot it or do anything, but he'd let me go out there in the field. And I remember one story I always hear about, and I kind of remember it myself, but we were going across this little cornfield and my dad's sitting at the truck and he's watching, and I'm sneaking up on these deer, and these deer are kind of looking at me like, what the heck is that little thing coming at me? And pretty soon 2 guys come walking across the field and spooked off the deer. And I got all mad, and I walked back to my dad, and I was like, man, I almost had him, Dad. And he's like, yeah. He's like, he goes, well, what'd you think? And I was like, well, those guys walking out there, I should have just punched one of them right in the nose. My dad, he laughed. He thought that story was pretty funny. He told that a lot.
You say, 28 pounds can kill a deer, which you did. Mm-hmm. It's all shot placement.
Absolutely.
100% shot placement. If you practice like you practice to do that. I know when my daughter shot her first one that we got to harvest, because the year before she missed and everybody gave her shit. She goes, oh, you just don't shoot enough. And that was the wrong thing to say to her, because she shot a lot. And what it was, when she shot, that deer, her bow was slow enough, it dropped far enough that it just went high. And that was a learning thing for her, because the year to the date, the next year, she had one. It was both of them were shot under 15 yards, and that next one she shot, she double lunged it at the top of the heart. And I asked her, "Where'd you shoot?" She goes, "Dad, I aimed at the bottom of his belly in case he dropped. Either I was going to go under him or I was going to kill him." And I filmed that one, and it showed him dropping far enough, good shot. So that's how you live and learn with that.
Absolutely.
Shooting a target doesn't move. A live animal's a whole different.
Well, the targets that Mark shoots, but yeah.
Yeah. So after you started hunting first, when did the target kind of come into it?
So I went to a lot of shoots with my dad growing up, and it was kind of a lot of memories I remember that were awesome, because we went with another family, the Poindexters, and me and his kids would always go, and we go swimming or we play video games back in the hotel room while they went and shot, and then we all hung out together afterwards. And it was probably, I don't know, I was probably 12, 13. And I was like, you know what, Dad, I think I'd like to get into shooting a bow a little bit more on the tournament side. And so I shot a little bit then and kind of got back out of it, started chasing girls and hunting again and doing a lot of the other stuff, and didn't get back into it fairly big until I was probably 18, 19. I was sitting around the shop and I was watching guys shoot paper, and I was like, you know what, I think I could shoot pretty well shooting bow hunter. I'm looking at the scores that were getting shot, and I was like, oh yeah, I should be able to shoot that, just going off basic shooting. And so I set up a bow and started shooting bow hunter again, and the rest history.
Yeah. So you've been in Vegas quite a few times then.
Pretty much. I've been there almost every year from the time I was I think it was 18 or 19, all the way until now. I've missed 1 year, and that year was the year that we just weren't sure when my daughter was going to be born. So I was like, probably should stay back, since she was going to be doing March. And so I just didn't want to have her come early.
What's your highest place in Vegas?
Second. Never taken a first.
Still pretty good.
Never taken a first. That's the one
check
thing.
Somewhere, because you have the third place right there.
Yeah, I got a third place one, but I don't have the second place check.
Did you just not get it, or
no? They didn't have checks then.
Well,
but still, that's the bow hunter. And was that with fingers or with release?
No, that was with a release.
So when you shot fingers first, right?
Yep. So fingers would have been back when I was in my younger days, like that 12, 13, 14. Shot a lot of fingers back in. That's when I met one of my good buddies, David Jaggy.
So he shot fingers too?
Oh yeah, he was a phenomenal shot with fingers. A phenomenal shot. Shot 60 X's.
It doesn't surprise me that David was good at this.
But yeah, that kid was a straight shooter, man. He done well, really well. Won lots of national things, a lot of the IBO stuff. But yeah, now he's into shooting release instead of fingers. But
So did you concentrate mostly on the target side of it, or did you do some 3D?
I did some 3D. Like I actually shot a lot of 3D when I was younger. That was kind of the paper thing. I didn't do a whole lot until I got older. The younger days, I shot a lot of the 3D stuff and shot really well and placed well at a lot of events there. Even I took first in the NFAA outdoor 3D unknown distance shoot. So
Unknown distance shoot.
Yep.
Okay. Do they still have that?
I don't know, to be honest with you.
But
I thought it was Reading is where you won.
No, not
Did you
Reading.
win Reading?
No,
Oh,
I've
you
never,
haven't
I've
been
never
to
shot
Reading.
Reading.
Okay, never mind.
We had this
I
conversation.
think you just said unmarked nationals, and I just like equated that to marked
no,
nationals.
it was just a regular 3D shoot that they had, but it was their national shoot.
so the one thing you did shoot, which you held your own shoot here last year, was the ESPN games.
Yeah, so they called it the outdoor games back then.
Okay.
I seen it on TV one time, and I was like, man, I want to go shoot that. And my dad was actually the one that brought the video back because he was up in Wisconsin and he just happened to hear about it, and so he went and seen it. And that year, Wayne Endicott and Randy Hendricks and Randy Almer. Can't remember who else was shooting
Maybe
in it,
Tim.
but they're no. I think Tim was even shooting in it then too. But he showed me the video, and I was like, I got to shoot that. And so the next year, I got into it, and they had 3 qualifiers. And so there was a qualifier at each one of the NFA events. So I went to Vegas, seen it. I was like, all right, cool. I'd practiced a little bit for it, and I just didn't know how the game was played. And so I shot, and I had a pretty good qualifying score, and I just walked away. Well, how a lot of the guys played the game was you just keep paying. You just keep shooting until you get the best score out there. Well, they only took the top 16, and I ended up taking 17th. I didn't go up there and shoot again. So I was in 17th place. Well, now I got to go to the next thing. So I went to Louisville, and that time I knew how the game was played, so I qualified well, and then went to the shoot down and was shooting for 3rd place against Rod White, and we went to the speed round. I beat him in the speed round to start, off the first round. That way we were tied. Went into the second round because they did a speed round again for the shoot off.
Round. Tell everybody what speed round is.
Okay, so the speed round, what that is I guess let's explain the whole
just
event. real quick.
Explain the whole event.
So what it is you have a stationary target that pops up. They called that back then. They called it the William Tell. And so that one back then come up. It was just a shape of an apple. You shot it, it went down. You pulled back again, got ready. It came back up again. You shot it again. And that station was kind of your warm up station. Then you went to the next station. The next station was at 25 yards, and it was a moving target. So you had 2 different sized discs to choose from. So you had a bigger disc that was worth half the points of what the bigger disc or the smaller disc was. And so that would go across. You would shoot at it. As it's coming back, you would shoot at it again, get the points for it. And it was just commutative points. It went all the way through. Then you had your long distance shot, which was 40 yards. And it had a 1-inch, 2-inch, 4-inch, 6-inch disc that was on there. So you could choose on the points on that. So smallest one was worth the most and biggest one was worth the least. Then you went to the speed round. And a lot of times that's where that event come down to was the speed round. So each disc was worth 3 points and then the last one was worth 6. And so usually if you won the speed round, you guys were pretty close throughout there, you would win the event. Okay. So that's kind of how that system's set up. So it kind of gives you the best of everything. So it does have your small shooting shots. It has your moving shots. It's got a speed round that goes with it. And then your basic warm-up stuff at the beginning.
So equipment-wise, what would you...
So that one there, I shot 3 different bows.
Okay.
So I had a bow that was mainly set up for station 1, station 2. So something that was kind of easier to move. Didn't have a long stabilizer on there. Had actual sight that was set up for the moving target. So you can actually just aim on the spot as it goes and be able to shoot at it.
Okay.
Then station 3 was long distance. I had a scope. I had a lens on there. Had a long stabilizer. And, went that road with it. And then the speed round, I would shoot more of a smooth round wheel bow, something that was super easy to break over.
Bow?
No, so it was still like truly a round wheel bow is what I ended up going to with it.
It's actually, isn't it? Or is that, no, that was your long distance one, right? The red one?
Nope, it would have been that red one right there. It would have been the one that I finally ended up with.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's true round wheels on there, so it doesn't have a hard breakover. Smooth, fast. You can get into your anchor point. It doesn't take a lot of time for it to shake.
Yep.
Before you shoot it.
Okay. In your event, you had pretty good numbers here. Didn't you last year for your event?
Yeah, it was okay. You know, it was one of those things
First year.
Yeah, it was the first year event,
Yeah.
and a lot of the spectators really liked it. So I think a lot of guys want to come shoot it again. You know, a lot of the guys when I started shooting it, you know, they're older now, and so like trying to get a younger crowd back into it. You know, because I was the young pup back then.
Yeah.
Now I'm not so much the young pup anymore.
Yeah,
Getting old.
which you kind of did that. You got second place was like 15.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
it was awesome. I mean, the shoot down in between those two guys at the end was amazing because it was like back and forth, back
It
and
was
forth.
so weird, but yeah, it was definitely a pretty intense spectator thing. But yeah, the last one was not as climactic as some of the other ones. They were just like really didn't want to take it, but
That's the thing with that event is like anybody can shoot in that event and do well because it can take your average guy because it's going to take the aspect of everything. So yes, is it going to come down to you got to be accurate and proficient? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But can you play the game and win towards the end? Yes. I mean, that's the thing is I set it up now to where a guy doesn't have to make it to the end to be able to win. He can be shooting this really small spots all the way through and get enough points that he could possibly
So-
not matter on the speed rate.
It comes down to target management.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's ASA is the same way.
yeah,
That's what's fun about that. I don't have to be the best shooter. I just got to do it the right way.
Mhm.
You know, but you still have to shoot good. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's still there. But yeah. So
The biggest thing I would say that makes that thing the best spectator sport for archery is the disc break. Like, you don't have to have a pair of binos to see what's going on with it.
Yeah.
The crowd can be sitting there, and when the shot happens, you can hear the disc break, you can see which one broke, and they can understand what's going on.
I think so. I thought about this the other day. I think there's two aspects to it. One is the disc break, but two, it's the frequency of discs breaking, or like an ASA thing, like the last shoot or whatever, the sixth and final arrow. There'll be one archer at a time. It'll take like 3 minutes for them to shoot or whatever, and then you get like the feedback or whatever. But there, it's like bing, 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 like they're both going at like the same time, and it's like rapid fire. And so it's like it's more like a real sport where it's like things happen super quickly.
Yeah.
But
it's
yeah.
quick.
Yep.
So hunting wise, you've taken some pretty good hunting trips.
I have. I've gotten lucky over the years. You know, my dad really got me going in the hunting side of it, but I've just always wanted to do other things. You know, it's fun to hunt whitetails, but it's awesome to go chase something else. Put your pin on something that you've never put it on before. You know, when you see this last year I went after a moose and got lucky and shot a moose, and been to Africa quite a few different times, and the animals over there are so much different than what we're hunting here.
Yeah.
You know, in Hawaii, that was another fun one. You know, you put it on that, it does kind of look like a whitetail a little bit as far as like spots on it, but man, it's a big fawn. So
Yeah. So tell us about that moose hunt.
moose hunt was amazing. You know, we flew in by helicopter to this kind of base camp. It wasn't anything super fancy, which was fine. You know, we didn't need anything fancy. We were there to chase moose. And we got there, and it definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be like, the terrain. Definitely didn't walk enough, didn't get enough exercise in.
Was that in Alaska?
Nope. So that was in Newfoundland.
Newfoundland. Okay.
Yep. And so it's like a lot of bog territory.
Swamp?
Yeah, kind of like swampy areas is
Okay.
what you would have in there. It wasn't horrible, but you'd hike up this, I would call it a mountain, but they would call it a hill. But we were so tired by the time we got to the top of it. And then we would glass. And, you know, day one, we seen a moose. It was about 4 miles away. And I was like, 4 miles? We got this. That's no big deal. 4 miles in rubber boots in that bog sucks. I mean, it sucks. But we had me and Rob Bish with me, and we're going after him. We're trying to keep up with the guides. And I kept looking back, and Rob's just kind of dragging behind. But man, he kept with it the whole time. Like, we would stop and wait, and here he'd come walking up, and next thing we know, we're taking off again. And he's like, "Oh, come on, guys, let me have a little break." Because, you know, at first we were told that we were going to be around camp. We'd be within a few miles of camp. So again, why I did not get in shape like I should have. But we were beating the clock, and finally we got up to this moose, and we're about 22, 26 yards, and the guide is telling me what the distance is. And so I step out from the bush and I pull back, and they're kind of making a call to get him to stand up. And finally, as he starts to stand up, I watch this moose, and he's coming up, and I'm like, wow, I'm at full draw. And I just look, and I'm like, he stood up. wait a minute, he's standing up again. I mean, they are just so tall of an animal that was just him kind of getting out of his bed, and then he got up even higher.
So they're as big as they are.
Oh, they're giant animal, and then let the arrow go and make a great shot. He runs over probably about 100 yards and piles up. But
now the work begins.
At that place, it wasn't so bad. So we helped skin it out, get some stuff going, but it was more the clock beating the clock back to get back to camp, because now you're going to walk through that bog and it's going to get dark. And that's the thing that the guides were telling us. We got to get going. We got to get a move on, because it's going to be dark and you don't want to walk out here in the dark. Because you never know. Like, every step that you're taking, the ground looks like it's solid, but it's a sinkhole, man. Like, I mean, you will go all the way up to your nether regions.
Yeah.
You can break a leg. You can do all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah. Yep. But that would be fun. So have you elk hunted then too?
Never elk hunted. That's one of the animals here in the States. A few of them, like elk, mountain lion, are going to be things. Sheep, which
you've got a caribou though.
I did get a caribou. We went up to Alaska and did that on the Haul Road. Kind of a do-it-yourself hunt. That was fun. I went out with a buddy that lives up there, Chris Somerville. So
yeah, so Africa. What animals have you shot in Africa?
Let's go through the list here.
So, okay, how many times have you been there?
So I've been to Africa. I'm going again here in 15 days. So I've been over there 4 times. I've shot quite a few different animals: sable, kudu, impala, blessbuck, warthog, steenbuck, zebra, black wildebeest, blue wildebeest. There's a bunch. I can't remember all of them right off the top of my head right now.
So do you kind of line that? So I've been down here, groups. You've got a group over there now. Mm-hmm. So is that something you do here at the shop just for everybody, or?
Yeah. So and that's the thing is, over the years, it's been something that's been really fun for me. So I enjoy new guys going and doing some of these new things with us. We go down to Texas, we go to Africa. We're going to go to New Zealand this next year, and just getting a good group of guys together. I'll definitely go through and help with booking the airplane tickets and getting them lined up. And, usually I try to go through these outfitters that we're going to go to and talk and do some reference before we go, so that I know that we're going to be going to a good place. Now, Does that happen every time? No. We had a trip down to Texas here recently that was not that way, but the majority of the time are. And so we try to get a lot of the customers or friends or whatever to go over there, because it's cool to sit around that campfire at night, and these guys that have never been there before, that are telling their story about the day and about the animal that they saw or the animal that they shot. And the excitement is what's awesome. That's what gets me going on a lot of that
100%.
stuff.
I mean, I have not done anything like that, but the first, what was your first shoot we had here this year? The 3D. Mm-hmm. Just the amount of people we had here, that was exciting.
Yep.
I like, it's just what we do. And it's the same. I mean, Africa trip, it's somewhere on my bucket list. Yeah. I will do it someday,
Well, and it's amazing. So everybody that goes over to Africa, I always hear them talking about, well, this is going to be my once in a lifetime trip, which sometimes it is. But most guys that get over there, they have an absolute blast, and they're like, all right, well, it's day 5. When are we planning the next one? Yeah. Just because they just have a blast over there. Yeah. And there's a lot of hunts that I do or that I've done that, even if it's not something that I'm lining up, it's like I get guys that come to me and talk to me about the Haul Road hunt or the Hawaii hunt. Mm-hmm. And I give them all the information on it, because they can go over there, do it yourself hunt. Doesn't cost a whole lot of money, and you can go have a blast. So. Yeah.
So talking about hunting and stuff, you get a new archer in. How you sell variety of bows. I mean, you sell all the 3 main, mm-hmm. and a couple other ones. Mm-hmm. So what would you suggest the new guys to start with if they want to do target shooting and hunting? I mean, I know we've talked about the hybrids, mm-hmm. which I think is a really good thing to do, but you got guys on budgets and stuff.
Absolutely. You can shoot any bow that you want to shoot and shoot target and shoot hunting with it. That's the one thing out there is I get a guy that comes in and he wants to buy a bear rant. He wants to spend something where he's $400, $500 all set up. That guy can come in, he can shoot 3D with it, he can hunt with it, he can do everything he wants to do with it. Now, as he gets into it a little more, he might get more proficient and want to get something a little bit better that's going to perform better. It's going to be easier to shoot. But as far as you take pretty much any of these bows, and put them into a shooting machine, they'll shoot in the same hole every single time.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's why I always tell guys that is it's one of those things that you just figure out what you want to go with. So when a guy walks into my shop and he's like, hey, I'm wanting to get into bow hunting, or I'm wanting to get into just shooting a bow. Okay. Well, what are we looking for? What are you looking for out of a bow? Are you looking for just really good basic bow to get started with, which is fine? Are you kind of looking the medium? You want a little bit faster, a little bit quieter, a little bit smoother? Or are you looking at like a flagship bow, which is going to be, it's going to perform the best out of everything. Yeah. And from there, we test shoot a bunch of bows. There you go, man. Let's set up this basic. Let's set up this one. Let's set up that one. Everything that's going to be in their budget that they're looking to want to spend, and shoot them and try them out, and then kind of let them decide what feels the best to them.
Yeah, because you have to shoot them. None of the bows feel the same.
No, and that's the crazy thing about archery is, you look at it, a guy walks into a gun shop and he picks up a handgun and holds it and then decides if he wants to buy it. And, you get into archery, it's a whole different ballgame. You got to shoot the bow, test the bow, which is awesome that you get to do that because you don't get to do that with the guns.
No.
Now it's not like a gun that holds its value. That's the downfall with bows. They are horrible. They're worse than a used car.
It is what it is. Have you noticed in the past few years, has the popularity come up, or is it kind of flatlined? Or
I'd say it's growing a little bit. If you look at ATA numbers, it's definitely declining, is what they're saying. But you need that for something.
Mid-roll Dr. Pepper sponsor break. So COVID year, it probably increased quite a bit, right?
Yes. Yep. Definitely. COVID year, that COVID time, it definitely picked up on, I won't say hunters, but I would say shooter wise, definitely picked up.
Really? So specifically like target archer or
just shooting them
recreational?
Yeah. Recreational archers definitely picked up. Now hunting wise, it picked up a little bit. Heck, if you look at out west for guys that are going on trips,
I've heard that's when it
crazy.
Exploded. Yeah. Now they see way more.
Well, I think some of it is that everybody wants to know where their meat comes from now.
Yep.
So the guys are starting to hunt to eat healthy. I mean, which is fine. And,
because it's not cheaper.
No, it's not cheaper.
Yeah.
I can tell you that right now.
It's way cheaper to buy a steak from the store.
Yep.
I mean,
yeah, when you figure that all into it, your bow, your gas, your arrows, your broadheads, it's not the cheapest sport out there, but man, it's nice. It gives you some therapy in the tree and the blind, and that adrenaline rush that you get, when that animal comes walking in that you're going to harvest, no matter what size it is, whether it's a doe or it's a good mature buck or a buck in general. That'll be the one thing that I will tell you that I've seen over the years that has changed so much in hunting whitetail deer. It used to be back in the day, a kid shoots a deer, everybody high fives him. It's awesome. Or at the, even at the shop, at the old shop, somebody would shoot a deer. They'd come in, we'd have a camera out there. We'd go out there and we'd take a picture with them and everybody'd be high fiving and, telling them how great it was. Didn't matter what size deer it was, and it's kind of changed a little bit. Do we all want to kill big deer? Yeah. We all want to shoot the biggest one that we can kill. We definitely shouldn't be downgrading people on the size of the animal that they decide to harvest. And let alone kids. That's the one thing is, you'll see these kids walking in now. Well, I didn't shoot that deer because, he was only like a 125. And it's like, man, you should harvest whatever makes you happy. But at the same time, to harvest your first animal, whatever size it is, should be exciting.
oh yeah, it should be exciting every time.
Yep.
I mean, my first one I shot was a doe, and I'm sitting in the tree just shaking like, and it was a doe.
Yep.
I couldn't imagine if I shot a 200-inch deer, I'd probably fall out of the tree. But
I remember somebody shooting at a deer this year, and it was doe, and it was like 22, 23 yards, and they missed. I mean, really good shot, but they just
I wasn't
missed.
22 yards. It's fucking 60 because your shitty farm setup. You fucking put a bait pile or something 100 yards away. I don't even know.
just to keep them away from your rod.
No, but yeah. So, do you think that's a recent cultural shift, or I've heard stories that back in the day, Iowa just didn't have that many deer?
They didn't. We didn't have near the quality deer that we do now. I mean, there was actually a little time frame where there was even better quality as far as the size of the bucks.
When
that
was
were grown.
that? Like 10 years ago? Or
Oh
something?
yeah, probably around that 10-year time frame ago. And then we had EHD and we had
Blue tongue.
yeah. So we had a few different diseases that gone through that kind of demolished some of the really good genetics, is what it seemed like.
We're fortunate. I think the area we live in is probably the best in the state. Well,
There's some really good spots.
there's some
around
really
here.
good spots, but down here, I think it's pretty good.
Yep.
So, but one thing we didn't touch on is your hunting show.
Oh yeah.
Or your
Yep, our YouTube
Yeah.
channel. Yep. So, and that, that's something that's grown over the years. Hell, we've been doing that for a long time
It
too.
used to be called, well, I don't know what it started as.
So
but
it
NXG
started
at one point.
So it actually started as Midwest Whitetails
Oh.
Team NXG,
Remember you told me this.
and
what's
my
the
dad.
NXG?
So Next Generation. So my
Okay.
dad actually started Midwest Whitetails way back in the day. He actually came out with a video that was on VHS, and it actually sold all over the world. So not even just here; it was actually in other countries. He sold it, and it's a really good video. It's not like what our hunting videos are now. So it was more instructional and kind of giving you tips and stuff on hunting, let alone having a few hunting things that were involved with it, which was awesome. So then I decided, because I grew up filming with him and we never really did anything with it, but as I got older, I was like, you know what, I'd like to get back into the filming side again. And so I got a few buddies together, Dustin Mason and Jason Nicolino and Marky Fees, and we decided that we were going to go together and actually start our own filming thing. And a lot of learning curves that went with that. But we've grown into having multiple team members, and the show went to be on local television, not just DVD. So we started DVD, then we went to local, then we did some national television, then we did some national web show stuff, and then now we're on just YouTube. So it's kind of grown and changed over the years.
Well, yeah, if you filmed with your dad, look at the camera you had to lug around then.
Oh, it's out. There's one out there in the case. Like they
I
took
mean-
that thing up in the mountains, and it's that long and it's that wide and that tall. No, I would not want to do
we got
that.
these little ones now, and
Yeah, and we still
VHS
complain
tape.
about them. Huh?
VHS tape? Is that what they're, yeah.
Yep.
yeah. So you film every hunt then,
Yep.
even when you go over Africa.
Oh yeah. Yep. Africa, Hawaii, anywhere that we go. Like, to me, that's part of the experience now. It's hard for me to go out and not try to get it on film.
Yeah.
Just because, to me, that's part of it. I can look back. I can remember stuff somewhat well, but when I look back and I watch the video, it really clicks into my mind.
Well, it's a memory. It's never going to go away.
Yep.
That video is almost better than a picture. I mean, yeah, you harvest an animal, you skin it, you eat it. Think about it again. Well, I can look at that was a lot of. I remember that day.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I know what you're going to Africa to get this year. I'm excited to see you get one in the video.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can tell them if you want.
Well, yeah, it doesn't bother me. I'm going to go try to chase a lion. And, last time I tried to chase a Cape Buffalo. And so we're going to try again for the Cape Buffalo. But I'm pretty jacked up on it. Like, my heart is pumping. I'm getting more excited each and every day to be able to go chase one of these. Lions were a thing that were way out of my price budget. There was just no way. Well, then here comes, Cecil the lion that gets shot, and they get banned to be able to be brought back in the United States. And so we've had multiple conversations in the shop with guys about, well, you're going to bring that back and get it mounted? Well, I can't. Like, that's the downfall with it.
But you're going to film it.
But we're going to film it, and I'm going to have the memory there, and I'm going to have the experience. So that's the one thing I always tell guys. I'm like, well, I can't bring it back, but I can have the experience. When you go to a baseball game, or you go skydiving, or you go golfing at a super fancy place, the thing is you have the memories. You have those things there, let alone now I'm going to have the actual portion of it on film.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to afford to go harvest that animal if you could bring it back in the States.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about, so what was it then, and what is the price drop now?
So-
like in 2015 or whatever that was.
Yeah, so I mean, if you went back then, it would be $40,000, $50,000 to shoot a male lion. And to me, there's not an animal out there that I want to go
There's
chase.
nothing worse that much.
Yep, there's just not for me.
And now,
Now you can go hunt them for right around $7,000.
That's not bad.
Which it's not
It's
cheap.
not cheap.
It's
but
not cheap. But to be able to go harvest one of those animals that you would love to go after your whole entire life as a kid, and thinking that there's no way you'd be able to go experience that. And now I get to, like that's the thing. And it's going to be a spot and stock, or walk and stock is what they call it, because you follow the tracks and you're going to kick them up a couple different times until they decide, you know what? I'm a lion. I don't need to run away from you. I'm going to stand here and, well, you may get ate. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But
I don't know. I think you might want that. 'Cause every time you see a video like of them charging at you, you're like, oh man, I can't wait. It's like, okay.
that's the adrenaline portion of it, man.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're there. You're going to chase a dangerous animal. It shows you where you are on the food chain.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You're equal with them.
that's exactly it. I mean,
And they're bigger.
They're a big animal.
Yeah, that would be exciting. Just even the Cape Buffalo would be exciting.
Oh yeah,
Because the power
that's
of
been
that
my number
animal.
one animal my whole entire life. So like that last year to go over there and chase a little bit, and we got close but weren't able to get it. It was kind of heartbreaking a little bit to come back without it. But I
So-
mean, that's hunting.
Yardage wise on a Cape, what's your max probably?
I mean, you can shoot them out there a ways 50, 60 yards, but that's not what I'm looking for.
you
Like,
want them 20.
I want them 20 to 30 yards is what I would like. They are a dangerous animal, so you got to be super careful of what you're doing. Because it was just like there, we were getting up, we were 30 yards from them, and the wind switched, and they smelled us, and there's probably 12 or 13 of them jumped up and took off running. It could have just took one being a little confused to come running through the bush towards us. That could have trampled us. One of the guys, the PH that was over there, Harry, they owns the place. They almost killed him last year. He got beat. Like one of the hunters shot it, and they were going back to the road. They were going to try to go back and track it later because they knew it wasn't a great shot. They come out of the bush, and it beat him almost to death. They life flighted him out of there, threw him in the air, stomped him on the ground. I mean, it's not something to take lightly. You were hunting a dangerous game. Like that's just how it is over there.
How much those things weigh? Do you remember?
I think I looked it up yesterday. They're right around 2,000 pounds. is
So
what
they're
Cape
about the
Buffalo is.
size of a full-grown
Car.
steer.
Yep.
The size of a cow.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, they're 2,000, 2,500, I think is what they weigh. If I'm not wrong, I could be wrong on that. But I can tell you one of the guys, Kylie and Mike shot some the trip that I was on the last time. And I walked up there and I tried to pick up the head. And the head is just so dense that you just can't pick it up, man. They're just a beefy animal.
yeah.
Strong.
Like you said, there's some pretty neat animals in Africa.
Oh. That's the cool thing, man. I've been over there all those trips and I've never shot the same animal twice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just keeps me going. Like I keep saying, this might be my last trip. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, I'm really going to go again. But
Yeah. Well, I think the only thing in the States that would be even remotely scary is a grizzly bear.
Mhm.
Or
grizzly or,
mountain
you
lion.
go with the Kodiak brown bear.
Yeah. I mean, that's aggressive. I
Yep.
mean, I've heard stories that the guys shoot them and they turn around and come.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, here we go.
Yep. Yep,
But-
absolutely. And hunting's always been my passion. I love to do it. And it's just fun to go new places. There's lots of things I'd like to still chase here. I'd like to shoot a mountain lion. I'd like to go, hunt an elk. But my problem is like the success rates on hunting like elk. We got Nick that works here and he's been out there. What's been out there 3 different times now. And hasn't shot an elk with a bow yet.
Nick actually doesn't believe that elk exists.
And so for me, it's like caribou. I'll go chase caribou. I'll go chase moose. I'll go chase other animals and work my way towards the elk. And the elk, everybody that hunts them absolutely loves it. You hear them bugling. Just the scenery that you're going to be in is amazing. But I just want something that's got a little bit higher success rate of having a chance, because it's hunting. So.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, the amount of money you're going to put in to shoot an elk, and you might not see one.
Yep.
It's like, oh, man.
But that's anything.
You're right. That is anything.
I went on that moose hunt, and it's not a guarantee. Like, there's a chance that you might not kill anything. We had a hurricane come through while we were up there the day after I shot mine, and so hunting conditions went to crap. So it's one of those things. It's Mother Nature. Anything can happen.
Yeah. So do you hunt everything in the States here? For like Iowa, hunt deer, turkey.
Deer, turkey, rabbits, pheasants, whatever.
Yep. And
Anything we can shoot.
Now you're taking your kids.
Oh, yeah.
So you're passing it down to them. Hopefully they get, into it like you are, which there's a couple nights. I saw you put $1 up on the target, just blowing the shit out of the dollar bill,
But it seems to be that like once my kids have a little competition of something, then they want to do it more. But
and that's like we said, it's got to get the younger generation into it, or it might all go away.
Yep.
And
that's the key of the sport, man. Like my dad was always big into kids coming in and shooting and doing things, and we're trying to get some more kids classes and kids leagues or something going on. It's definitely changed from when I was a kid till now, because there's so much other things that kids are doing for sports wise, whether it's baseball, soccer, basketball, football. It just seems like back when I was younger, you did it, you played your time. That was pretty much it. Then you had other time to do other things. Well, now if you're playing baseball, you're pretty much playing baseball almost year round, because when it's winter time now, it's not that you're having a kids league and having fun shooting a bow. These kids are practicing hard and playing inside and just batting all through the winter. So
speaking of sports, want to tell them what's going to happen this fall with Grandview?
Oh yeah. I don't know. I that's the one thing I don't want to put it out there because I don't know for sure on it yet.
Sure yet?
Yeah, I'm still waiting on a little more info on it.
Are you? Yeah. Well, we'll announce that when that comes, but that'll be exciting for you.
Yep.
I think it really will.
Yeah, if that happens, that'll be really cool.
That will be. I mean, you've been there through that, and that'll be cool. I'm kind of excited for it actually. But yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We can edit that out. Or not?
We'll just leave it in. I mean, we aren't saying anything, so.
Yeah. But
why are you looking at me like that? You worried?
No, not at all.
I don't know what else we gotta.
That's about. I don't know. That's about it, really.
I don't know. Want to ask me a question about the shop? I don't know what.
Oh,
I'm trying to think of anything, but
I can't think of anything.
Why are how we're rolling? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either.
I haven't figured that one out yet.
I was perfectly happy at Target. That's not true, but I worked at the Target like.
No, I will thank you for letting us do this down here. It's been a lot of fun.
Not a problem.
I mean, I get comments all the time. Oh, your podcast is good. Da, da, da. It's like, and I thank all the people listening. Thank you guys for that. But like I said, we did it just to get information out of shoots to make it.
We failed at that, but
we're getting,
it's not as good at that.
But we're telling the guys when the shoots are, and
it's.
I had a buddy of mine message me because I said I want to try a hinge. He goes, well, you guys should film that. Have Roland teach you how to shoot the hinge like on a Genesis bow. Yeah, that's a good way to hit myself in the head.
No,
yeah, but
Genesis bow. I mean, it'd just be gentle though.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Actually, yeah, I'm probably. I mean, for the thumbnail, you'd probably want I'll set it hot one of those times, so then we get the thumbnail, and then we can teach you how to shoot correctly.
So, but yeah, it. Like I said, I don't hunt as much as I used to because I've gotten just time. It's time for everything. So
that's the issue. So like for us, that's the one issue is that time. It's crazy again, like back into the kid stuff. There's so much stuff that they're getting into and so much stuff that you do with them. Not only that, finding ground to hunt on, like that is getting tough for a lot of guys. And so we always talk about new hunters coming into the sport, which is fine, but how do we get new hunters into the sport and be able to have places for them to hunt? When I was younger, you knocked on a door. Yeah, you can go hunting.
Now you knock on a door. How much are you going to pay me?
Well, not even that.
I mean,
when I was younger, you'd knock on a door and they'd be like, well, we got one guy that hunts out here every so often. And you go, no, man, thanks. I appreciate it. I'll go look at another place. Now, if you do that, you might not find another place. Like that's the difference in between when, 20 years ago and now.
Yeah.
God, I'm getting
old. There's probably more public hunting now than there was 20 years ago.
There is. There's more public hunting, but then you still got to deal with people. And we've got some really good public hunting ground in Iowa, as far as the deer populations and the quality of deer that are on public. But you still are dealing with people. And it's the same thing. If you get permission on a guy's place, there's probably going to be a couple people that are going to hunt it. You guys can work together and know each other versus public. But
so the guys that want to hunt the urban, they actually come down here to test out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We do the proficiency test for the Des Moines urban hunt, Des Moines, Clive, the the Des Moines area.
How long has that been around?
Oof. So my dad helped get that started. I want to say that we're a little over, 25 years ago, I want to say.
So did the Iowa City start there at the same time as Des Moines?
So it was pretty close to it. Iowa City definitely has had some issues with some of theirs versus, Des Moines actually had a really good, successful program that, the Deer Task Force did a really good job setting up the rules and getting everything set up ahead of time to make things work.
So what are some of the rules so people know?
So like in the city, each park has some of their own rules on how far you have to be away from one of their trails that they have. But, they make him be in an elevated tree stand. They make him go through a bow hunter safety course. They make him come in and shoot a proficiency test every single year. And they only allow so many people in these different places. So you sign up, you try to get into it. You're allowed to shoot, if you shoot 3 does on a lot of places, your name goes in a drawing for a buck tag. Some places require 5 does to be shot for their name to go in there. But it's just an extra incentive tag. So it doesn't use your normal statewide tag. It gives you an extra one. So.
Okay. That ain't bad. But how else are you going to thin them down in the city?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's it. You're not paying sharpshooters. So the bow hunters are going in there. They're spending their time. They're going through there. They're doing it ethically. If I can say that right. And spending their money because they've got to buy tags. So, you get a deal on your second tag, third tag, fourth tag, but you're still paying full price for your first one versus some of these other areas that are paying sharpshooters $100, $125 a deer.
And that's with a gun.
Yep. And that's with a gun, and the taxpayers are paying that.
Yeah. And so a gun, a bullet's going to go through a deer. Mm-hmm. An arrow does, but when an arrow goes through a deer, pretty much that's where it stops.
Well, most of the time when they have the sharpshooters, they're putting corn piles out. They're putting a bait pile. The deer come into it. They shoot them there. So they set it up to where it's safe. But still at the same time, it's not like with a bow. A bow, they're going to be in an elevated tree stand. The arrow is going to come out. It's going to go into the ground.
Yeah.
So you're not worrying about it skipping, going anywhere. And that's the one thing. Like you run into some people that see you out there hunting, and they're like, "Well, what can we do?" Like, I'm just going to let you know, we're not launching arrows at stuff on moving targets. We're looking for a deer. We know what we're looking for. We're going to shoot it at 20 yards, 25 yards max. So it's not something where you're going into these places and shooting long distance and stuff.
Yeah, you're not.
So it's super, super safe.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, we got to control the population somehow.
Well, that's exactly it. Otherwise, they're going to get sick and they're going to die. And, you don't want to have diseases going rampant on all these animals. And that's what happens when you get your carrying capacity is going to be what the ground can actually sustain. And once you get over that, then that's when you start to run into
Mother
issues.
Nature, it's going to thin them out anyway.
That's exactly it. Mother Nature will take care of itself.
Yeah.
It just might not be the way that you want to see it because you don't want to see these animals running around sick and dying.
That's harder to watch a sick animal die than it is someone shooting it.
Yep.
I mean, it really is. I rather not. I don't want to see that.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's about all I really got. I mean,
is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about? Anything coming up or anything you want to, promote? Archery Field and Sports is the web show, is the YouTube channel.
Yep. Yeah. If you want to watch some of our stuff on there, we're going to start doing some more product reviews on stuff, which we haven't been doing lately, but we're going to go through different products. And we'll definitely take input from guys on what they would like to see, but we'll go over releases and sites and rests, and we're going to tell you what the good and the bad is on all of them. Don't really care. Letting everybody know.
Good.
So
good.
But yeah. If you check us out on Facebook or on YouTube, that's going to be the big thing.
Yeah.
Like and follow our Archery Field and Sports Facebook page.
A lot of waffles.
What's your hours down here, Mark?
So Tuesday through Friday, we're open noon till 8. And Saturday and Sunday, we're open noon till 6. Okay. Closed Monday.
Yeah. So if you got questions, come down here and see Mark.
Yep.
Roland's here too.
Yep.
Hang in, hang out, just BS with the guys around the shop.
Yeah. And bow wise, like I said, they've got everything. If you need to get a bow, try them out. And if they don't have it, they could probably get it.
Yep.
So,
100%. All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
No
thanks for
problem.
coming on, Mark.
Thanks for spending your time. Time to go get your kids.
Yep. What time is it?
About time.
2 o'clock. We still got a little time.
All right. See you guys later.
Yep.